Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another client story time where I'm gonna talk about a weird client situation. And this might be something that happens to you if you're new to the industry or new to video editing or just new to interviewing for jobs in general. Maybe this might help you not get in a similar situation. And I look back and I'm like, oh God, like I'm way too experienced to have gone on this, not gone on this interview, it was a video interview, but done the interview. So anyways, if you're interested in post-production, video editing, content creation, stories about that, information about videos and how to create them, everything on the back end, subscribe to my channel, give it a like, and let's get into today's topic. So, like most of my stories are gonna start, I was in contact with this new client on Upwork. I highly recommend, I keep tapping this, so if you hear a weird sound, that's what it is. I can't sit still. I find most of my new clients on Upwork or through word of mouth. So I was on Upwork, found this client, they needed a graphics package. And I'm like, hey, I do that, I've done that, and I can do it. So they were like, all right, let's set up a video interview, see if this is gonna be a good fit, which is totally normal thing, except we had a set time for the video interview and he sent me a message, something about, and he started out the message as like, hey hun, or something kind of like personal or pet namey like that. And that should have been like my first red flag. Well, no. The first red flag was he was also like from my area, because on Upwork you can like say where you are, like the city or like around that. So he was like, oh, like, you know, we're kind of in a similar area, like, you know, I think one county away, something like that. Anyways, for me that's kind of a red flag because most of the work I do is remote, so it shouldn't matter anyways, like where the location is. And I also feel like it's kind of like somebody trying to get an in on like a personal relationship so that you feel like they're entitled to more of your time than they otherwise would be in just a professional relationship. I think I'm explaining that right. Anyways, so I was like, maybe not, but I was like, you know what, let me just give it a shot. Let me see how this goes, because I never like to just turn things down just because of that. That I think would be, at that time I was like, that's just silly. So the message came where he was like, oh, hey, hon, oh, sorry, hon, like, I'm getting a haircut. Like, kept kind of including, like, this personal information that I didn't need to know. And for me, personally, in, like, with work, let's say something personal does come up for me, I'll say, something came up, I can't do this time, date, whatever, can we do this time, date, whatever. I don't include what's going on, anything like that. So he was saying he was getting a haircut, you know, and I was like, you know, to each their own, maybe that's just how he is or whatever. So I was like, okay, we can reschedule the thing. Get on the call, and typically phone interviews or the video interviews will be like, we'll kind of introduce ourselves, talk about like what we both do, what we're interested in, you know, as far as work, interested in. And as a video editor or graphics person, I would just want to know about their channel, their needs, the look they want to go for, and basically the volume of work that they're going to need. So typically when I do video calls, you know, I probably wear this. I look like this. You know, I don't normally wear makeup, even if I go into a job where I'm working. Like, I wear makeup if I'm like going out or, you know, we're doing something nice or fancy or something like that, but I can feel it on my face, it gets in my eyes. And when I work, I need my eyes, so I can't have my eyes like watering and itching, and then I end up rubbing my eyes and I have raccoon eyes. Like, I don't like to wear makeup when I work, and I wore makeup in like videos before, and I'm like, this is just too much. Like, my eyes bother me, so I can't do it. But I'm like halfway decent. I get dressed and I'm sitting in my office and, you know, in front of the computer in a chair doing the video interview. I get the Zoom link, and when I do Zoom links, I always do it on my Mac computer, not my actual working computer. I have like a Mac thing that's like dying, but I use that for like video calls, downloading footage, like downloading anything really, and I have the VPN on it. I click on the Zoom link and we get on the meeting. It opens up. He's laying in bed with no shirt on and, you know, is just like holding the phone up. And I was like, in my head, and I'm like continuing the call, like, oh, hi, yeah, blah, blah. And in my head, I'm like, just leave, just leave, just leave the meeting, leave, blah, done, sorry. I should have done that, didn't do it. And I'm thinking about this and I'm like, oh my God. So I stay on this meeting and he starts talking about the graphics package and I'm like, all right, you know, whatever. Maybe this is probably the only time I'll have to talk to this person like in person. He starts telling me all about the videos and what he needs as if we're already working together. Because this, through Upwork, like I haven't been hired, no contracts have been started, and he's like wanting to know exactly how much it's gonna cost, exactly how many hours I'm gonna work on it. And he was asking for like 2 separate graphics packages. That's a thing. If you're ever working on a project or interviewing for a job or a contract, and someone is pressuring you to tell you exactly how much it's gonna cost, exactly how much time it's gonna take, like right then and there, like that's also a red flag. Like that's essentially somebody trying to lock you into a low rate so that they can just keep piling work on top of it so that, you know, they don't have to pay a bunch of people and you'll feel obligated to, because they'll pressure you in ways to say, well, you said it was only gonna cost this much, you said it was, and now, you know, you're wasting my time, and they're gonna kind of guilt you and pressure you into like doing this. So you need to set like clear boundaries like that. So in the midst of all this conversation, and I think before we started talking about rates and hours and all of that, he wanted me, like, he sent me this other link to, I don't even remember what the context of what we were talking about involving the project was, but he sent me a link to like softcore is it hentai? Like the Japanese cartoon? But it was like softcore that, and I'm like, and in my head I'm like, well, and I didn't just click on it, like I copied it and pasted it into a, what was it, like an incognito window with and I went into my VPN settings and like changed it to a completely different country and then opened up an incognito window and then pasted that link in and then went to it. Because at this point, I was like, I don't trust this guy at all. So I did that and like, I was like, yeah, and like didn't react. Like facially, I was just like, I was just like done, and I was like done at that point. So I click off and I was like, okay. And at this point, I think we were nearing like half an hour of the interview, and already that's like too long to, unless someone's like, yeah, we're gonna hire you, like I'm doing the contract now, and you're actively like doing stuff, like half an hour is too long to be like figuring out if you're a good fit. They should know by then. Right, and so I was like, hey, you know, it's coming up on half an hour, like I have another appointment, I have another meeting, you know, at this time, like, you know, I was like, you know, I'll, if you want to shoot me over the details, or I've got notes here, and we can take next steps, start the contract and all this stuff. And he would be like, okay, yeah, so I need this, and then he would like list all the stuff he needed again, and I'm like, I know, I have to get off this call. And eventually it was insane. Like I could not get this guy off the interview call. And there was like so much other stuff that I know I'm leaving out. There was that. Oh, he wanted me to be on 4chan. So that, these are his exact words. You're gonna need to sign up for 4chan so I can contact you whenever I want. For a set rate project. Okay, so no company or client is entitled to contact you whenever they want. If you're working as a freelancer, you're running your own business essentially, so you have your own hours of operation. If you want to be available around the clock, that's up to you and you can do that. I don't do that. For some clients, I will start early, work late, and certain projects will require me to do that. So it's like when he said that, I was just like, I think I just was like placating him. Like I was just like trying to get him off the the Zoom call, trying to get to my shit. And I remember like finally coming out of my office, like rushing around, like, oh, it must have been a Saturday because my husband was home. I remember him going like, oh, what's going on? I was like, I have to tell you about it later. It was fucking insane, but I have to go. And I remember talking at the salon about it, but oh man. So I ended up, when I came back from getting my hair done or whatever I had going on that day, I sent him an email saying, listen, I, reviewed all the details and something else came up in the meantime. I'm not gonna have time to work on this project. So, which is like just the generic, I don't want to do it. So I send that email, and so he messages back something along the lines of, oh, well, can I ask, if you didn't have time, why did you apply for it? And in my head, I'm thinking, well, if you read it, I said something came up, so I wasn't busy. So in the lie, I wasn't busy before I became busy. But in real life, it's just an excuse. It's a soft way of saying, instead of like ghosting somebody and like not responding to any messages, it's just saying like, bye, I don't want to work on this, bye. So, and I think he messaged back like a hello or something like that. And I'm like, I just did not. I was like, no. Because at that point also, if you're in that situation and you're not even working for this, I was not even working for this person. If that's a situation that you're in, you don't owe them even correspondence if you don't want to. You're not getting paid for anything. And especially if you don't want to do the work or work with them, you don't have to respond if you don't want to. That was that story. That was probably the weirdest client experience that I've had. And I worked on some interesting, weird projects, but that was like, and that wasn't even a client. But that was the weirdest experience with work that I've had. But yeah, so I hope that helps somebody if they've had like a weird interview, or they're just not, or if you're not comfortable in a situation, like it's fine that you feel uncomfortable. Just follow that gut feeling. Like I've told people before, like your initial instinct is like usually the right one, because I heard that somewhere and I'm like, yeah, I can look back and see where I like didn't listen and I was right the first time. So just go with your gut. If you're like, I don't know if I want to work on this project, maybe just hold back, wait, something else will come along. So I hope that helped somebody. And if you enjoyed that story, I hope to post some more stories about clients, post-production, life. So if you're interested in hearing more, subscribe to my channel, like this video. It's a free way to support me, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.